he made Biggie say "kick in the door" the rhyme over and over and over and over and over. And this is Biggie, you know what I mean? And he like, nah, say it like this. Nah, don't say that. Say it like this. Or say it this way. And just learning from him and learning from Pete and learning from any producer in the game. That's kind of a rite of passage. Like a lot of cats call themselves producers, and it's fine, but you got to be in the studio and kind of quarterback in the session.
Yo, now I'm just excited, to be honest. I'm real excited about the whole situation. I'm excited about 2023 as a brand new year. You know, we just starting the year and it's already an earthquake and explosion. So I can't wait to see what the future holds. But man, if you put in work and you start seeing the results, that's the best feeling in the world, man.
What do you think is like the single biggest thing that got you to this point? Would it be like work ethic? Would it be consistency? Like what do you think is like the biggest thing that got you there?
Definitely the work ethic and the consistency. It's like Nice said, you could be nice if you ain't got everything else you need. As far as putting in the work, as far as staying focused, you're gonna lose your course.
So stay on course.
Definitely gotta stay on course, man. Gotta stay on your toes, on your grind, man. It's like, like a hook on the blade. You gotta just, man, whether it's cold, like rain, sleep, it don't matter. You gotta be out there putting in the work. Back.
Looking at me, he said, "Nigga, you gonna kill this shit." What the fuck is you talking about?
That's how it is, and you get the little butterflies once you get on there.
You know how we doing, man.
My nigga draft. Taking over state to state. Yeah, man, state to state. You know what it is, nigga. I done let the wolves out. I done let the wolves out. The honey pack is back. Yeah, you done let the wolves out.
What they say in Staten Island? That shit hitting. You know what that mean?
Oh, hell yeah.
More than an abusive stepfather.
Huh?
That shit hit. You heard?
Spanking, man. We spanking you, nigga.
That shit hit you. Bow, bow, bow. Smack you up. Then put you to sleep. It's abusive. That weed is abusive. Real shit.
I'm gonna pop this shit now. Like I would say, you gotta work with tunnel vision. Niggas ain't gonna believe you at the beginning, but you gotta get it popping. You feel me? Once you get it popping, it's gonna open people's eyes. You feel me? And then from there, you see who you need to be with. You feel me? Because once you keep working, you gonna land. You gonna actually land where you need to be. So you feel me? I would say keep working, have tunnel vision. Don't let niggas stop you. Feel me? Always have awareness. Feel me? Who's around you? You know who you keep in your circle. Because birds of a feather flock together. If you knew better, you do better. You feel me, baby? Holla at your boy, man.
You got it on video?
Me, Musalini 9th, 2023. I'm officially signed to Jam Loud Records. Feel me? This shit crazy. Cause me coming up, I always see rappers signing to other rappers. And for me to sign to like one of the best producers in the game to ever do it. Like, when you talk about Dillas, Buck Wild, you talking about 9th Point, he's in that, you know what I mean? That legendary status. This shit kind of crazy to me, you feel me?
My 16-year-old daughter, who I raised off hip hop and raised on hip hop. I raised all of my children on hip hop. I raised them on to understand what the sound is, what the soul is. And she hit me one day and she said, "Daddy, have you ever heard of this guy by the name of Musalini?" I said, "Nah, I haven't." And she sent me a record called All Money. And at the same time, Crisis has sent me a record called All Money. It's like they sent on the same day off. And I listened to it and I was like, I think he dope. And I told Crisis, I think he dope. It just felt different because it was different from what everybody else was doing at the time. Like I said, the one thing I noticed about, I heard the song and I saw the video. And the one thing I noticed about this video is it was women in it. And I was like, most of the time, man, kind of the feel, like the sound that we deal with, the aesthetic that we deal with, you watch a video, there's no women. You know, I came up watching the Bad Boy era and watching that time period, and it was always women around. I don't care what we talking about, Lords of the Underground or Mobb Deep, it was women somewhere. And so that kind of got erased from this style of hip hop. Sometimes people think boom bap doesn't go, women don't like boom bap. I'm like, that's stupid. And so when I saw this video, I was like, man, like that's an element that we are missing, really, or whatever. But it was on some pimp type talk or whatever. And my daughter was like, I like him, I like his music, I like his beats. As time went on, and she came back to me, she said, you should work with him. And I was like, okay. I said, I'll see if I can reach out to him, you know. And she would ask me, like, you reached out to him yet? You tried him, Dad? You tried? I was like, nah. And so one day I shot him a DM, he hit me back. We exchanged phone numbers. He was on the way out to, I think he was on the way out to Colorado at the time. And I sent him a beat, and he sent it back. He sent the song back, and I played it in the studio. And it's one thing for me to work with my artist. It's another thing when I play something I did for somebody outside the team. I look at their face, and when I played the record, they were like, man, I don't know what the hell this is, man. Oh, man. Because they're thinking about it so many different ways. They're thinking about, man, is he going to promote all this time to this, whoever this person is? And then they're thinking, Ninth finna get him all the hot beats. Like, they're thinking everything is right. So I knew I had something good, especially when I played it for them. And I remember he said, man, you think it's good? You think I should, leave it? And I'm like, nah, just do another verse. And we went from there, and we ended up with the Don and I, and it I thought it was gonna do well, but the way it was received very, very well. And when we did shows on it, and this is one of the first times in my career, man, that I was able to just do the music. It's been a long time that I've been running a label, so just do the music and he do everything else. As far as getting the vinyl together, the CDs, the shows, or whatever, he really was like, nah, man, I'm gonna get the shows together. All I need for you to do is pull up. He took my name in my beats and my production, and he did the rest. And I was like, wow, man, I really don't have to do. It was a relief that I didn't have to drive the ship so much. And so that's what it is. And here we are, almost 3 years later, and he on the team. It was only right. He was coming down, breaking bread with us, coming to my homecoming. He done came to my homecoming twice. And
seen a lot of wagons, you feel me? Shout out to North Carolina, man. I've been sleeping, man, on y'all, man. Like, this shit, man, and the hospitality, when they talk about Southern hospitality and all that, I felt like family before the deal, you feel me? So it's just a blessing, man, for real.
It's like, once the first one dropped, I was still sending beats, and we still got records in the can, to the point now we're going in two different directions with both of these albums, so to speak. So we still got that. I'm not gonna change the formula of too much of what he already does. Like he shoots his own content, he does his videos, he has his own artists that he's cultivating as well. And my thing is to enhance what he already has, and that's the most important thing. To enhance what he already has, to say, okay, let's do this, let's do that, but not change, because he's already built this brand on his own. And so now I can take my resources that I have, connections that I have, and say, okay, let's do this and this. And just having this stamp on them is like, people will be more apt to really, not say people, but higher ups will be more apt to kind of check him out, and this and that and third. So I think that's, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You can only enhance. Never try to change anything around. And he's self-sufficient. His team is self-sufficient. They all do it. And these days, you got to make sure you have an artist, but you have people that understand how to play their role. Everybody can't rap, okay? Not to say everybody can't rap, but everybody can't be the head person. Everybody's job is important as everybody else's. And sometimes people don't like to deal with that. And you got to put your ego in the back seat. So his team does a great job of doing that. you know, we'll see what happens next. So all we can do is see what happens.
Nah, facts, and I ain't gonna lie, working with 9th and Crisis and coming out here, I feel like I done grown as an artist, you feel me? Like, even because when we did the first one, it was all through email. When I started pulling up, and 9th like, yo, nah, keep this, Moose. Yo, say it like this, or
Let's use this ad.
you know what I mean? He was really producing this shit, man. Him and Crisis got a formula, and I feel like it just enhanced my artistry. When I'm in New York, I'm recording like 9th next to me telling me, yo, nah, keep that. Or, so, you know what I mean? I'm recording the same way, and it's helping me, you feel me? So I just feel like 9th, so let's keep the formula going, you feel me? Let's keep doing what we're doing.
That makes me want to ask, what is it that compels you, like, is it the teacher in you? Like, what is it that compels you to want to teach, want to bring people on, want to bring people up, you know, be able to throw the gas on the flame, you know?
I mean, that's part of it, but at the same time, it's always been, I've watched Pete Rocker premiere for years, right? I've watched Premier produce with, you know, his partner, rest in peace, Guru, Gangstar. But then Premier also produced for Jay and Big and Nas. And one of the stories that he says is he made Biggie say "kick in the door," the rhyme, over and over and over and over and over. And this is Biggie, you know what I mean? And he like, nah, say it like this. Nah, don't say that. Say it like this. Or say it this way. And just learning from him and learning from Pete and learning from any producer in the game. That's kind of a rite of passage. Like a lot of cats call themselves producers, and it's fine, but you got to be in the studio and kind of quarterbacking the session. And sometimes, you know, the artist, I had to get him to stick, like, keeping his ad-libs. Like, I made a hook out of his ad-libs. He like, shit. Like,
I ain't gonna lie, this is the first time he's like, niggas don't want to erase nothing. I'm like, you sure, Nate? He's like, yeah, we keeping that.
Keeping it.
Yeah, we keeping that.
You never know. It's all about the feeling. He might feel like a word he didn't enunciate right, but it just feels good. You know what I mean? And so we keep everything just to go back and see what feels right. So I don't know if it's the teacher. I don't know if it's the hip hop. I don't know if it's the fact that I love basketball so much and I understand how coaches, you know. So that's what it is.
Coaching a young man like this, was it the consistency? Was it what that was like the major factor, was the consistency?
It was a consistency for me. It was, in this day and time, daring to do what you love. Like, some artists do shit and they really don't like it. They know it gets them to a certain level, but then when they come in the studio with niggas like this, it's like, oh, this is shit I really like. They don't do what they love. They do what they think is gonna make them money or get them to a certain level. With him, it's like, in the middle of the era that we're in, you're like, nah, man, I'm gonna do me. This is me. Like, I'm influenced by this person and this person and this person, but I'm still gonna do me, and I'm gonna have fun doing me. Even my ad-libs and blah, 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 like, and it's crazy because I was looking through the comments. You know, you got some rappers and then some rappers got nicknames, like Method Man has a nickname. It's not only Method Man, it's another name. You know, Jay the Kiss, Jay to the Moi, it's a Kiss or whatever. And so I'm looking through the comments, and you know you got to a certain level when somebody calls you this and something else. And so in the comments, I saw the Uptown Bandit, and I was like, oh shit, that's it. I'm like, and he said it in a few songs, and he said, oh shit, Moose the Uptown Bandit. I was like, yes, sir, that's it. So but that comes from carving your own lane and not being afraid to be yourself, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like, sample beats, that's my shit.
Yeah.
Sample beats will never die.
Absolutely not.
Why is that?
Because it's the crux of what we do. Like, in sample beats, whether it's a jazz record we sample or a rock record, we make it soulful, period. And we have been, musically, we have been rocking to the same groove since the late 60s. It may be fast, it may be slow, but we've been rocking to the same groove pretty much. And that feeling of the sample or the soul, whatever, it comes from the diaspora, man. It comes from my people, it comes from his people. Where his people come from, it comes from that space. And you'll never be able to get away from that rhythm like that. You know what I mean? We can do crunk and bounce, but that do that do cat shit been going on since Otis Redding. I don't give a damn. From Otis Redding to SZA, nigga, it's the same vibe. It's the same measures. It's the same 4/4 time. It's that shit. And so that's what I feel like it'll never leave. People forget that the South 1993 was Black Moon, bro. Like, you know, we were all listening to the same thing. It wasn't like, it wasn't a time where there was a New York sound. It was hip hop. It was rap music. And the rap music was that. But the Ghetto Boys sounded like that too, and they were from Houston. So the break beat and the sample, everybody was doing that. I don't care if it was the Ghetto Boys, I don't care if it was NWA. Everybody had a drum break and a sample on top of it. And once the South started to branch out on its own sound and all other places, then that drum and sample became the New York sound. I'm like, nah, that's what hip hop used to sound like for a very long time. So that's why I never, when people like, well, you know, he sound like, it's like New York is now being the hub for it, but at the time, if this is 1988, everybody sounded like that. The whole country in hip hop sounded like that. And that's the only thing I know. I don't know. I mean, I know other things, but I don't know nothing else. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I ain't ashamed of it neither. You know what I mean? So when I'm sitting down, boom, boom, I'm making a hip hop beat. I'm not making something that sound like New York or something that sound like. I'm making what I feel like is a hip hop sound, and that's what it is.
I ain't gonna lie, I seen 9th make beats in front of me. His process is like, you could tell he enjoyed making beats. He's having fun.
It's the best.
By the time I got 4 bars, he already on the next beat. By the time I got 2 bars he already on the next beat. Like, you can tell this what he do, you feel me?
Moose be like, go back 2 beats before.
That's the one.
But it's good though, man, because, you know, again, he comes down and him, Izzy High, everybody comes down and they mesh with the team well. Like Swink and Draft, Ruben, you know, Heather, when Rappers in town, they ain't had a chance to meet Rap yet, but you know, she's in and out of town. All the producers, Crisis, my president of Jam LaCash, E. Jones. He meshes with everybody well. Now, and that was another thing I kind of watched over time. I'm like, okay, he's dope, but how is he gonna mesh with the rest of his family? And he comes in and it's all good, and even he's giving my artists like, nah, man, you just gotta work, like, and we need that. We need that. So, I mean, I think it's dope, man. You know what I mean? Now we gotta figure out when he gonna move down here.
That's it. Let's go.
Yeah, we finna.
Huh?
Yeah, I'm done.
I mean, he tired of paying high rent, man, in small places.
Man, I'm done with them cold ass winters in New York. You feel me?
Oh, it get cold out there. Don't just not get confused. It get cold out here too, dog. Like, it get cold here. Like this December, it was crazy. It was crazy. I think one night the wind chill was like 5.
Man.
Nah, it get wild here.
Man,
like we get wild, but it ain't like
we had that.
We ain't
like
got the
week
Hudson.
Straight, bro.
Yeah,
like
that's
the other day. I'm like, damn, I'm finna die out
It ain't
here.
like
That
that,
shit
you know?
crazy.
So yeah.
You know, I was talking to Moose about it earlier. How like those sounds that define regions. You know what I'm saying? How like when we think of New York with like that soul, that jazz, we think of the South with soul and jazz, and then we think of soul, jazz, and
now
groove
something
and
else.
funk.
Right.
Right, and then the West Coast has that funky sound.
Right.
But then like, it's crazy how like it was probably the generation before them and the records that they sampled, like the records that they acquired from their parents and shit, and how that influenced that whole era.
Absolutely.
And then so on and so forth, how it continues to evolve on top of each other.
Yeah, it's like you know, Dr. Dre's whole G-Funk sound, that sound at that time was one of the biggest influences with him was the Ohio players, and they're from Ohio. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and the song is called Funky Worm. And that's the thing about it, like, that particular generation it's kind of the beginning of like Straight Outta Compton when dude was laying on the floor. The dude that was playing Dr. Dre was laying on the floor and he had all them records behind him. He was listening to Roy Ayers and Everybody Loves the Sunshine.
Roy
It's
Ayers,
like,
there we go,
yeah, man, it's like, you know, I don't know if soul, and somebody got to really study. I don't know if soul music in the 70s was regional like that. I mean, it probably was. I can tell a Southern soulful sound or a New York soulful sound. Maybe you could, maybe you couldn't, but again, in hip hop, it wasn't like that. The only way you can tell somebody was from somewhere else other than New York is when they rapped and what they talked about. Accent, some of the streets they said, some of the places they talked about, but it was the same kind of beats, man. It was the same kind of beats. And then once we got the early mid-90s, that's when it started to, like, with the coming of Outkast, it started to say, okay, we're gonna start branching out. So
would you say that hip hop influences the world, everything?
Heck yeah, man.
Because I think so.
Yeah, hip hop is
I fucking think so.
Hip hop is just as influential as math. I think those are the two, you know, when we get a chance to, when we all get a chance, and when Moose get a chance to tour the planet, he'll see that it's gonna be kids who don't speak a lick of English, but knows enough to what to say to ask him for autograph, and knows the words to his song. Even if they don't know what the words mean, they know words of songs, but they don't know, they can't speak English. But if they rap a song, and that's when I knew, I was like, man, this kid know the words of Wu-Tang Cream, and he can't say nothing else after that. And I was like, and that's in every country, man.
That's power.
It's insane. And what hip hop has done to this globe.